Hello, and welcome back to English in Fluency. I am your host, Alex, and I am incredibly grateful that you have chosen to spend some of your valuable time with me today. Whether you are listening to this while you are walking to work, washing the dishes in your kitchen, or perhaps relaxing on your sofa with a warm cup of tea, I want you to know that you are doing something wonderful for yourself. You are showing up. You are practicing. And that is the most important step in learning any language. Today, we are going to settle in for a long, deep, and relaxing session. We are not going to rush. We are not going to worry about memorizing complex grammar rules today. Instead, we are going to focus on a topic that is essential for your growth, not just as an English learner, but as a human being. We are going to talk about the comfort zone and why leaving it is the secret to becoming fluent. I want you to imagine a circle. Imagine drawing a circle on the ground around your feet. Inside this circle, everything is safe. Inside this circle, you know exactly what to do. You know the language, you know the people, and you know the routine. It is warm, it is cozy, and it is predictable. This is your comfort zone. We all love our comfort zones because they make us feel secure. But there is a problem with this circle. Nothing new ever grows inside of it. If you stay inside this circle forever, your world will never get bigger. Today, I am going to tell you stories about people who decided to step out of that circle. We are going to look at their fears, their struggles, and their triumphs. My goal is that by the end of our time together, you will feel brave enough to take one small step outside of your own circle. Let us begin with a story about a man named Arthur. Arthur was a man who loved routine more than anything else in the world. He lived in a small, sleepy town where everyone knew everyone else's name. Arthur worked in a bakery. He had worked in the same bakery for 15 years. Every morning, Arthur woke up at exactly 4 o'clock in the morning. He would brush his teeth, put on his white baker's uniform, and walk 3 blocks to the bakery. He loved the smell of the flour and the yeast. He loved the heat of the ovens. He was very good at his job. He could braid the bread dough with his eyes closed. He knew exactly how many minutes to bake the croissants so they were perfectly golden brown. Arthur's life was very comfortable. He spoke to the same customers every single day. Mrs. Higgins would come in at 7 o'clock for a loaf of rye bread, and Arthur would ask, "How is your cat, Mrs. Higgins?" And she would say, "He is fine, Arthur. Thank you for asking." Then Mr. Miller would come in at 7:30 for a bag of bagels, and Arthur would say, "Looks like rain today, Mr. Miller." And Mr. Miller would reply, "Yes, I think you are right." It was the same script, every single day. Arthur felt safe because he never had to think about what to say. He never had to worry about making a mistake or looking foolish. He was the master of his small world. But deep down, Arthur had a secret dream. It was a dream he kept hidden in the back of his mind, just like he kept the old flour sacks in the back of the pantry. Arthur wanted to learn how to make fine French pastries. He wanted to make delicate cakes with intricate decorations. He wanted to make colorful macarons and chocolate sculptures. But the bakery where he worked only sold bread and simple buns. To learn how to make these fancy pastries, Arthur would have to go to a culinary school in the city. The city was an hour away by train. The city was loud, crowded, and full of strangers. The thought of going to the city made Arthur's hands shake. He told himself he was too old. He told himself he was just a simple baker. He told himself that the train tickets were too expensive. These were all excuses to stay in his comfort zone. Let's pause for a moment and think about the word excuse. An excuse is a reason we invent to explain why we cannot do something. Often, our excuses sound very logical. We say, "I don't have time to study English," or "I am too tired to practice listening." But usually, the excuse is just a mask for fear. We are afraid of trying and failing, so we make an excuse to avoid trying at all. Arthur was doing exactly this. He was using excuses to build a wall around his comfort zone. One rainy Tuesday, something unexpected happened. The owner of the bakery, a kind old man named Mr. Abernathy, called a meeting. He told Arthur and the other staff that he was retiring. He was going to sell the bakery. Arthur felt a cold wave of panic wash over him. His safe world was ending. The new owner was a young woman named Sophie. Sophie had studied in Paris, and she had big plans. She wanted to transform the old bread shop into a modern patisserie. She wanted to sell exactly the kind of fancy cakes Arthur secretly dreamed of making. Sophie was energetic and fast. She came into the kitchen on her first day and clapped her hands. She gathered all the bakers together. She looked at Arthur and said, "I know you have been making bread here for a long time, Arthur. But starting next week, we are changing the menu. I need everyone to learn new techniques. I have signed everyone up for a master class in the city this weekend. We are all going together." Arthur felt like the floor was disappearing beneath his feet. He had to go to the city. He had to learn new things. He had to perform in front of a new boss who was an expert. His comfort zone had been shattered. That night, Arthur could not sleep. He lay in his bed staring at the ceiling. His heart was racing. This is a very common physical reaction to stepping out of your comfort zone. Your body produces adrenaline. Your heart beats faster. Your palms sweat. And your stomach feels tight. It feels like danger, but it is actually just your body preparing for a challenge. The weekend arrived, and Arthur found himself on the train to the city. He sat by the window, watching the green fields turn into gray buildings. He was terrified. He was afraid he would be the slowest student in the class. He was afraid his hands would be too clumsy for the delicate cakes. He was afraid Sophie would fire him. When they arrived at the culinary school, the kitchen was huge. It was full of shiny stainless steel equipment that Arthur had never seen before. There were other students there, young and confident, wearing pristine white uniforms. Arthur felt very small. He wanted to turn around and run back to the train station. He wanted to go back to his simple oven and his rye bread. But then the class began. The instructor was a strict but passionate chef. He showed them how to make a lemon tart. He moved with grace and precision. Then it was Arthur's turn. His hands were trembling as he picked up the whisk. He cracked the eggs. He measured the sugar. He focused on the task. Slowly, the rhythm of baking took over. Baking, after all, is just chemistry and timing. Arthur knew these things. He began to relax. He stopped looking at the other students and focused on the bowl in front of him. When he took his tart out of the oven, it was perfect. The crust was golden, and the filling was smooth and yellow. The instructor came over, tasted a small piece, and nodded. "Excellent texture," the instructor said. "You have a good touch." In that moment, Arthur felt a sensation he had not felt in years. It was a rush of pride. It was a spark of excitement. He realized that he was capable of more than just baking bread. He realized that the fear he had felt on the train was not a stop sign. It was a growing pain. By the end of the weekend, Arthur was exhausted, but he was also energized. He talked to the other students. He asked Sophie questions about her time in Paris. He even navigated the busy city streets to find a sandwich for lunch. The city didn't seem so scary anymore. It was just a place with more people and more buildings. When Arthur returned to his small town on Sunday evening, everything looked the same. But Arthur was different. He had expanded his circle. He had stepped into the unknown and survived. In fact, he had thrived. This is the magic of leaving your comfort zone. Once you stretch your mind to a new dimension, it never goes back to its original size. You have new skills, new confidence, and a new perspective. Now, let's apply Arthur's story to your English learning. Many of you are like Arthur in the bakery. You have your routine. Maybe you use a language app for 10 minutes a day. Maybe you watch videos with subtitles in your native language. This is your safe zone. You understand everything. You feel smart. But you are not growing as fast as you could be because you are not challenging yourself. You are afraid to turn off the subtitles. You are afraid to speak to a real person. You are afraid to read a book that might be too difficult. You need a Sophie in your life. You need a challenge that forces you to step up. Maybe that challenge is this video. Listening to a long narration in English without stopping is a challenge. If you are understanding me right now, you are already winning. But let's take it a step further. What is the English equivalent of Arthur going to the city? For some of you, it might be recording a video of yourself speaking English and posting it on social media. For others, it might be walking up to a tourist in your city and asking if they need help. It might be changing the operating system of your phone to English, so you are forced to think in English every time you send a message. These things feel scary. They make your stomach tight. But that feeling is the signal that you are about to grow. Let's talk about the biology of this feeling for a moment. Why does our brain do this? Why does it make us feel afraid of simply speaking a language or baking a cake? Well, thousands of years ago, humans lived in a very dangerous world. If you stepped out of your safe cave, you might be eaten by a lion or attacked by a bear. Your brain evolved to keep you safe. It learned that unknown equals danger. So, whenever you try something new, your ancient brain says, "Stop! Don't go there! It is not safe." But today, making a grammar mistake is not going to kill you. Mispronouncing a word is not a lion. The danger is not real. It is psychological. You have to teach your brain that it is okay to be uncomfortable. You have to say to yourself, "Thank you, brain, for trying to protect me, but I am just learning English. I am safe." Let's introduce another character to our tapestry of stories. Her name is Elena. Elena was a university student who was very shy. She was studying English, but she was terrified of speaking. In her class, whenever the teacher asked a question, Elena would look down at her desk. She prayed the teacher would not call her name. She knew the answers in her head. She knew the grammar rules perfectly. But she was paralyzed by the fear of having an accent. She thought that if she didn't sound like a native speaker, people would laugh at her. She was a perfectionist. Perfectionism is often just fear dressed up in fancy clothes. Elena thought she had to be perfect before she could speak. But the truth is, you have to speak in order to become perfect. Or rather, you have to speak to become effective. Perfection is not the goal. Connection is the goal. One summer, Elena had the opportunity to volunteer at an international music festival in her city. Her job was to help bands find their dressing rooms and get them water and food. She knew she would have to speak English because the bands came from all over the world. She almost said no to the opportunity. Her comfort zone whispered, "Stay home, Elena. It will be too stressful. You will make a fool of yourself." But she loved music, so she decided to push through the fear. On the first day of the festival, a band from the UK arrived. They were tired and confused. The lead singer approached Elena. He spoke very fast, using slang she had never heard in her textbooks. He asked, "Excuse me, love, could you point us towards the loo and maybe sort us out with some grub?" Elena froze. Her mind went blank. She didn't know what loo meant. She didn't know what grub meant. Panic rose in her chest. She wanted to run away. But she looked at the singer's face. He didn't look judgmental. He looked exhausted. He was just a person who needed help. Elena took a deep breath. She decided to be honest. She said, "I am sorry. I am a student. I do not understand loo or grub. Can you explain?" The singer laughed, a warm, friendly laugh. "Oh, sorry," he said. "The loo is the toilet, and grub is food. We are hungry." Elena smiled. "Oh, the toilet is down the hall to the left, and the catering tent is outside behind the stage." "Cheers! You're a lifesaver," the singer said, and he gave her a high five. In that interaction, Elena learned the most important lesson of her life. She learned that it is okay to ask for clarification. She learned that people appreciate help more than they care about perfect grammar. She survived the interaction. And not only did she survive, she felt a rush of happiness. She had communicated. She had solved a problem using a foreign language. For the rest of the festival, Elena became bolder. She started conversations with the drummers and the guitarists. She made mistakes, of course. She confused the word hungry with angry. Once, which caused a funny misunderstanding, but everyone just laughed, including her. By the end of the week, Elena's English had improved more than it had in 3 years of sitting in a classroom. Why? Because she had stepped out of the theory and into the practice. She had stepped out of the comfort zone and into the growth zone. Now, I want to address you directly again. I want you to think about your own accent anxiety. Many B1 learners worry deeply about their accent. They think their accent is a badge of incompetence. But I want you to change your mindset. Your accent is a badge of bravery. Your accent tells the world that you are smart enough to speak 2 languages. It tells the world that you were brave enough to learn something new. Never apologize for your accent. It is part of your story. It is part of your identity. When you step out of your comfort zone, you will feel awkward. You will feel clumsy. That is the price of entry. Think about a baby learning to walk. Does the baby walk perfectly the first time? No. The baby stands up, wobbles, and falls down. Does the baby think, "Oh, I am so embarrassed. I am never going to try walking again"? No. The baby laughs, stands up, and tries again. The baby is not afraid of failure. Somewhere along the way to becoming adults, we lose that resilience. We become terrified of falling down. But in language learning, you have to be willing to be the baby again. You have to be willing to wobble. I want to give you a practical exercise to do while you are listening. I want you to think of a topic that you find difficult to talk about in English. Maybe it is politics, or the environment, or your emotions. Usually, we avoid these topics because we lack the vocabulary. We stay in the safe waters of, my name is, and I like pizza. I challenge you to choose a difficult topic and try to talk about it to yourself for just 1 minute. You don't need a listener. You can talk to your mirror, or your dog, or just the empty room. For example, try to explain how your favorite movie made you feel. Do not just say, "It was good." Try to explain why. Did it make you cry? Did it make you think about your childhood? Did it inspire you? You will struggle to find the words. You will pause. You will feel frustrated. Good. Stay with that frustration. Do not give up. Use simple words to explain complex ideas. If you don't know the word for nostalgia, say, "It made me feel like I was a child again." That is communication. That is problem solving. That is stepping out of your comfort zone. Let's extend our journey now to a different setting, one that makes many English learners very nervous. We are going into the world of business. Let's meet a man named Kenji. Kenji worked for a large international technology company. He was a brilliant software engineer. He understood code better than anyone else in his department. He could look at a screen full of complicated data and find the error in seconds. But Kenji had a problem. His company conducted all their important meetings in English. Kenji could read English very well, and he could write emails if he had enough time to check his grammar with a dictionary. But speaking in real time terrified him. Every Tuesday morning, Kenji's team had a stand-up meeting. This is a meeting where everyone stands in a circle and quickly says what they are working on. For most people, this was easy. But for Kenji, Tuesday mornings were a nightmare. On Monday night, he would write a script for what he wanted to say. He would memorize it. He would practice it in the shower. "I am working on the database update. It is going well," he would repeat, over and over again. During the meeting, Kenji would stand there, sweating. He would not listen to what his colleagues were saying because he was too busy rehearsing his own sentence in his head. He was physically present in the room, but mentally, he was isolated in his fear. When it was his turn, he would say his memorized sentence very quickly, looking at the floor. Then he would breathe a sigh of relief and stop listening again. One Tuesday, the project manager, a man named David, presented a new plan for the software launch. Kenji looked at the diagrams on the whiteboard. He immediately saw a major problem. The plan David was proposing would crash the system. It was a technical error that only Kenji noticed because he knew the code so well. Kenji's heart started to pound against his ribs. He knew he should say something. He knew he had to warn them. But the voice of fear in his head was loud. It said, "Kenji, do not speak. You will not find the right words. You will sound stupid. Everyone will look at you. Just send an email later." This is the classic negotiation we do in our comfort zone. We try to find a safe way out. We try to avoid the spotlight. Kenji almost stayed silent. He almost let the mistake happen. But then he thought about the team. He thought about how much work they had done. If the system crashed, everyone would suffer. Kenji took a deep breath. He raised his hand. The room went silent. Everyone looked at him. Kenji never raised his hand. "David," Kenji said. His voice was shaking. "I think problem." He didn't have the complex vocabulary to explain it perfectly. He didn't know the word for incompatibility, so he used simple words. This plan, he pointed to the board, and the old code, no match, it will break. He waited for them to laugh. He waited for them to say his English was too simple. But that did not happen. David looked at the board. Then he looked at Kenji. "Wait," David said. "Are you saying the legacy code isn't compatible with this new update?" Kenji nodded vigorously. "Yes? Compatible? No?" David let out a long breath. "Wow. Good catch, Kenji. You just saved us weeks of work. Thank you." The other colleagues nodded in agreement. Someone patted Kenji on the back. In that moment, the wall of fear crumbled. Kenji realized that his value to the team was not his perfect grammar. His value was his knowledge and his ideas. His English was just the tool to deliver those ideas. It didn't need to be a golden hammer. It just needed to be a hammer that worked. After that day, Kenji stopped writing scripts for the Tuesday meetings. He started listening more. He started speaking in fragments and simple sentences. "I agree," he would say, or "I have a question." He was still nervous, but he was no longer paralyzed. He had moved from the comfort zone to the learning zone. I want to talk to you about this concept of the learning zone. Imagine 3 circles, one inside the other like a target. The smallest circle in the middle is your comfort zone. This is where you are relaxed. The biggest, outside circle is the panic zone. This is where you are so stressed that you cannot think. You do not want to go there. If you try to do something too difficult, like giving a 1-hour speech in English when you are only a beginner, you will go to the panic zone. You will freeze. This is not helpful. But between the comfort zone and the panic zone is the middle ring. This is the learning zone. This is where Kenji went. It was uncomfortable, but it was manageable. It was a stretch, but not a snap. When you are challenging yourself, you need to find this middle ground. You need to find the sweet spot. For example, if you are afraid of listening to English audio without subtitles, do not start with a fast, complex movie about quantum physics. That is the panic zone. You will feel defeated. Instead, start with a podcast designed for learners, like this one, or watch a cartoon where the language is simple. That is the learning zone. It requires effort, but success is possible. Let's try a little exercise right now to find your learning zone. I want you to close your eyes for a second, if it is safe to do so. I want you to imagine a situation in English that makes you feel a little bit nervous, but not terrified. Maybe it is ordering food in a restaurant. Maybe it is asking a stranger for the time. Maybe it is typing a message in a WhatsApp group. Find that scenario in your mind. Visualize yourself doing it. Visualize yourself making a small mistake, and then visualize yourself correcting it and smiling. This visualization helps prepare your brain. It tells your brain, "We can handle this." Now, let us move away from the office and travel to a new city to meet a woman named Amara. Amara had just moved to London for her husband's job. She didn't work, so she spent her days alone. Amara had studied English in school, but real life in London was very different. The people spoke fast. They used slang. They didn't enunciate their words clearly like her teachers did. Amara felt very isolated. She developed a routine to avoid speaking. She would go to the supermarket and use the self-checkout machines so she didn't have to talk to the cashier. She would order her coffee through an app so she could just pick it up without saying a word. She walked through the city like a ghost, observing everyone, but connecting with no one. She was safe, but she was incredibly lonely. Her comfort zone had become a prison. One rainy afternoon, Amara went to a small cafe that she liked. She tried to use her app to order, but her phone had no signal. She stood by the door, dripping wet, looking at the counter. The cafe was empty, except for the barista, a young man with bright blue hair. Amara really wanted a hot chocolate. She was cold and miserable. She looked at the door, thinking about leaving. It would be easier to just go home. But she was tired of being a ghost. She was tired of her own silence. She walked to the counter. Her throat felt dry. "Hello," she whispered. The barista looked up and smiled. "Hi there. Miserable weather out there, isn't it?" Amara panicked slightly. Miserable meant very bad. She remembered that. She nodded. "Yes, very much rain." "Tell me about it," the barista said. "I got soaked cycling in. What can I get you?" "Hot chocolate, please," Amara said. She felt proud. She had said it. "Cream and marshmallows?" he asked. Amara paused. She didn't know if she should pay extra. She hesitated. "Is it extra money?" she asked. "Nah, on the house today," he winked. "You look like you need it." Amara smiled. It was a real smile. "Thank you. You are very kind." She sat down with her hot chocolate, which was piled high with cream and marshmallows. It tasted sweeter than usual. It tasted like victory. That small interaction, which lasted less than 1 minute, changed the rest of her day. She felt seen. She felt like a human being participating in the world, not just watching it. The next day, Amara went to the supermarket. Instead of the self-checkout, she went to the cashier. It was an older lady. Amara looked at her name tag. It said, Brenda. "Hello, Brenda," Amara said, as she put her basket down. Brenda looked surprised, then pleased. "Hello, love. How are you doing?" "I am fine," Amara said. Then she decided to be brave. She decided to add one more sentence. She pointed to a magazine on the rack. "I like that picture." Brenda looked at the magazine. It was a picture of the royal family. "Oh yes, isn't it lovely? I do love the Queen." They exchanged 2 or 3 more sentences. It wasn't a deep philosophical conversation. It was just small talk. But for Amara, it was a lifeline. She realized that she didn't need to speak perfect English to be part of the community. She just needed to be present. She needed to signal that she was open to connection. Small talk is something that many learners hate. You might think it is superficial or boring. You might think, why do I care about the weather? Why do I care about the traffic? But in English-speaking cultures, small talk is the bridge. It is how we test the water. It is how we say, I am friendly, are you? Before we get to the deep topics. Mastering the art of saying, cold day, isn't it, is actually a major step in your fluency. It shows you are comfortable enough to engage in the social ritual. I want you to think about the opportunities you miss every day to practice this. If you live in an English-speaking country, are you like Amara? Do you use the self-checkout? Do you wear headphones on the bus so nobody talks to you? I challenge you to take out the headphones. I challenge you to go to the human cashier. If you do not live in an English-speaking country, you can still practice this. You can practice small talk online in comments sections. Instead of just liking a video or a post, write a sentence. The weather in the video looks nice. I like the music in the background. This is digital small talk. It is a way of stepping out of the lurker zone. A lurker is someone who reads and watches but never participates. Don't be a lurker in your own life. Be a participant. Let's go deeper into the psychology of why we hide. Often, it is because we are comparing our insides to other people's outsides. This is a very important concept. When you speak English, you feel your own anxiety. You feel your heart racing. You feel your brain searching for words. You feel the mess inside. But when you look at other people speaking, you only see the outside. You see them smiling. You hear their smooth words. You think, they are so calm. I am the only one who is panicked. But this is not true. You do not know what is happening inside their heads. Maybe the person you are talking to is also nervous. Maybe they are worried about their job or their relationship, or they are just shy. Everyone is fighting a hard battle. Everyone has their own insecurities. When you realize this, the pressure drops. You are not a student being tested by a master. You are just two humans trying to transfer an idea from one brain to another using sound waves. That is all language is. It is a tool for connection, not a performance for judgment. Let us return to the idea of the growth mindset. This is a concept developed by a researcher named Carol Dweck. People with a fixed mindset believe that talent is something you are born with. They think, I am just not good at languages, or I am too old to learn. If they make a mistake, they think it proves they are stupid. They stay in the comfort zone because failure defines them. People with a growth mindset believe that talent is built through effort. They think, I am not good at this yet. Note that powerful little word, yet. I don't understand this grammar rule yet. I cannot speak fluently yet. When they make a mistake, they think, that is interesting. I did not know that. Now I do. They see failure as data. They see mistakes as information. Arthur, Kenji, and Amara all shifted from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Arthur thought he was just a simple baker. Fixed. Then he realized he could learn pastry. Growth. Kenji thought he was bad at speaking. Fixed. Then he realized he could communicate value. Growth. Amara thought she was an outsider. Fixed. Then she realized she could connect. Growth. How can you cultivate this mindset? It starts with the way you talk to yourself. We all have an internal monologue. We all have a voice in our heads. For many of us, that voice is a bully. It says mean things. You sound terrible. Why did you use that word? You are so slow. I want you to audit your internal thoughts. Catch that voice. When it says something mean, stop it. Replace the thought. Instead of, I sound terrible, say, I am working on my pronunciation. Instead of, I made a mistake, say, I learned something new. Instead of, I am afraid, say, I am excited to try. This might sound like simple positive thinking, but it actually changes the chemistry of your brain. It reduces cortisol, the stress hormone, and helps you stay in the learning zone longer. Now, let us continue our journey by meeting a man named Samuel. Samuel's story is special because it deals with a very common fear, the fear that it is too late. Many of you listening might be older. You might be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or even older. You might look at young children learning English so easily and think, my brain is too old. I cannot do this. Samuel thought exactly the same thing. Samuel was 70 years old. He was a retired carpenter. He had strong hands and a kind face, but he felt a deep sadness in his heart. His daughter, Maria, had moved to Canada many years ago. She had married a Canadian man, and they had two beautiful children, Leo and Mia. Leo and Mia were Samuel's grandchildren. They had bright eyes and loud laughs. Every Sunday, Samuel would speak to them on a video call. He would see their faces on the screen of his tablet. But there was a wall between them. The children only spoke English. Samuel only spoke his native language. When Leo held up a drawing and said, "Look, Grandpa, I drew a dinosaur," Samuel could only smile and nod. He didn't know what Leo was saying. When Mia fell down and cried, Samuel couldn't say, "It is okay, don't cry." He could only watch helplessly. He felt like he was watching a movie of his family, rather than being part of it. He felt like a spectator in his own life. Samuel often used an old English idiom to describe his situation. He would say, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks." This means that older people cannot learn new skills. This was his excuse. It was his comfort zone. It protected him from the hard work of studying. It protected him from feeling foolish. But the pain of not knowing his grandchildren was stronger than the comfort of his excuse. One Sunday, Leo was trying to tell Samuel a story about his school. Leo was very excited, waving his hands and talking fast. Samuel just kept smiling and nodding. Leo stopped. He looked sad. He turned to his mother and said, "Mom, Grandpa doesn't understand me." Leo put his head down and walked away from the camera. That moment broke Samuel's heart. He realized that his old dog excuse was costing him a relationship with the people he loved most. He decided that day that he didn't care if he was 70. He didn't care if it was hard. He was going to learn. The next day, Samuel bought a beginner's English book. He bought a set of flashcards. He sat at his kitchen table. It was incredibly difficult. His memory was not as sharp as it used to be. He would learn a word in the morning and forget it by the afternoon. He felt frustrated. He felt stupid. He wanted to quit. But every time he wanted to close the book, he looked at the photograph of Leo and Mia on his fridge. That was his why. We talked earlier about finding your why. Your why is the fuel for your engine. If your why is just to pass a test, you might quit when it gets hard. But if your why is to connect with my grandchildren, or to get a better job for my family, or to understand the world, then you will keep going. Samuel kept going. He started labeling things in his house. He put a sticky note on the table that said table. He put one on the door that said door. He looked a bit funny, living in a house full of sticky notes, but he didn't care. He practiced speaking to his cat. "The cat is hungry," he would say. "The cat is sleeping." 6 months passed. It was Sunday again. The video call started. Leo came to the screen, looking a bit bored. He expected the usual nodding and smiling. Samuel took a deep breath. He looked into the camera. "Hello, Leo," he said slowly. "How is school?" Leo's eyes went wide. He looked at his mother in shock. "Grandpa?" "Yes," Samuel said. "I learn English. For you." Leo's face lit up with a smile that was brighter than the sun. "Grandpa, you speak English." "A little," Samuel laughed. "A little." They talked for 10 minutes. It was simple. They talked about dinosaurs. They talked about the snow in Canada. Samuel made many mistakes. He used the wrong verbs. His pronunciation was heavy. But none of that mattered. The wall was gone. Connection was flowing. Samuel realized that "you can't teach an old dog new tricks" was a lie. You can teach anyone anything, as long as they have a reason to learn. Samuel's bravery teaches us something important about the barrier of age and the barrier of ego. As adults, we hate looking foolish. We have jobs, we have responsibilities, We are respected in our communities. Becoming a beginner again feels like a step backward. It feels like losing status. But Samuel was willing to lose his status as a wise elder to become a beginner student, because the reward was love. I want to introduce you to a very practical tool that can help you be brave like Samuel. It is called the 20-second rule. This concept comes from positive psychology. The idea is very simple. The hardest part of any new habit or scary action is just the beginning. The resistance is heaviest right at the start. Think about jumping into a cold swimming pool. The scariest part is standing on the edge, looking at the water. You shiver. You hesitate. You think about walking away. But once you jump in, the shock only lasts for a few seconds, and then you start swimming. You adjust. The water feels fine. The 20-second rule says that you only need to be brave for 20 seconds. You do not need to be brave for the whole day. You just need enough courage to dial the phone number. You just need enough courage to raise your hand in class. You just need enough courage to walk up to the stranger and say, "Hello." Once you have taken that action, the momentum takes over. You are in the water. You are swimming. Let's apply this to your English practice. Maybe you have been wanting to join a conversation club, but you are scared. The fear is stopping you. Use the 20-second rule. Count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then click Join. Do not think. Just act. Give yourself 20 seconds of blind courage. After you click Join, you can't go back. You are in the situation, and your brain will switch from fear mode to survival mode, and then to learning mode. Another technique I want to share with you is called gamification. This means turning your learning process into a game. When we play games, we don't mind losing. If you play a video game and your character dies, you don't cry and say, "I am a failure." You just press restart. You try again. You have fun. We need to bring this playful energy to English. One way to gamify your comfort zone is to play rejection bingo. This sounds crazy, but listen to me. Draw a grid on a piece of paper. In each square, write a scary challenge. For example, ask a stranger for directions. Tell a joke in English. Correct someone politely. Now go out and try to do these things. But here is the twist. Your goal is not to succeed. Your goal is to just do it. If you ask a stranger for directions and they ignore you or look at you strangely, you win. You get to cross off that square. You are collecting experiences, not just successes. By seeking out these awkward moments, you desensitize yourself to the fear. You realize that rejection is not fatal. It is just a part of the game. I challenge you to try this. Go to a store and ask for a product that you know they do not have. Ask for purple bananas. The clerk will look at you and say, "What? No, we don't have those." You will smile and say, "Okay, thank you." You will walk away. Your heart will beat fast, but you will realize nothing bad happened. I survived. I asked a crazy question in English, and I am still alive. This makes the real questions much easier to ask. Let's take a break from the stories and do a listening drill. This will help you focus your ears on specific details. I am going to read a short paragraph about a daily schedule. I want you to listen for 3 things: the time the person wakes up, what they eat for breakfast, and how they get to work. Are you ready? Focus your ears. Here is the paragraph. My name is Julian, and I am a nurse. My days are very long. My alarm clock rings at exactly 5:30 in the morning. It is still dark outside, but I have to get up. I go to the kitchen and make a strong pot of coffee. I usually have a bowl of oatmeal with sliced bananas for breakfast because it gives me energy. I leave the house at 6:15. I walk to the subway station, which takes about 10 minutes. I take the number 4 train to the hospital. It is usually crowded, so I have to stand. Okay, did you catch the details? He wakes up at 5:30. He eats oatmeal with sliced bananas. He walks to the subway and takes the number 4 train. If you got all 3, congratulations. You are listening for detail. If you missed one, that is okay. It takes practice to filter information. In real life, people speak faster than I am speaking now. They slur words together. They say gonna instead of going to. They say wanna instead of want to. This is called connected speech. Let's talk about connected speech for a moment, because it is often a reason people stay in their comfort zone. You might learn the phrase, "What are you doing?" in a textbook. It looks clear, but when a native speaker says it, it sounds like, "What you doing?" If you expect to hear, "What are you doing?" and you hear, "What you doing?" your brain panics. You think, "I don't know that word," but you do know it. You just need to train your ear to the music of the language. English is a stress-timed language. We squeeze the unimportant words together, and we stress the important words. In "What are you doing?" the important word is doing. The rest gets squeezed. Try saying it with me. First, the slow way. What are you doing? Now, the fast way. What you doing? Feels funny, right? It feels informal. But this is how fluency sounds. Stepping out of your comfort zone means accepting that English is not always neat and tidy, like it is in a book. It is messy, fast, and musical. You have to learn to dance with it. Now, we need to talk about a specific danger that affects almost every intermediate learner. It is called the intermediate plateau. Imagine you are climbing a mountain. At the beginning, the climb is steep, but you can see your progress very clearly. You learn the alphabet, you learn numbers, you learn basic verbs. Every day, you feel like you are getting higher. You look back and say, "Wow, look how much I learned." This is the beginner stage. It is exciting because the progress is visible. But then, you reach the middle of the mountain. Suddenly, the ground becomes flat. You are walking and walking, but you don't feel like you are going up anymore. The view looks the same today as it did yesterday. You can understand some things, but not everything. You can speak, but you make the same mistakes over and over again. This is the plateau. The plateau is dangerous because it feels comfortable. You know enough English to survive. You can order food, check into a hotel, and have a basic conversation. Your brain says, "Okay, this is good enough. We can stop working so hard now." You stop pushing yourself into the panic zone or the learning zone. You settle into the comfort zone. But the problem is, if you stay on the plateau, you will never reach the peak. You will never reach that feeling of true freedom and fluency. To get off the plateau, you have to do something different. You have to change your strategy. One of the most powerful techniques to break through this plateau is called shadowing. Shadowing is different from normal repeating. In a normal class, the teacher says, "Hello," and you wait, and then you say, "Hello." That is repetition. Shadowing is more active. In shadowing, you listen to a native speaker, and you speak along with them at almost the exact same time. You are like a shadow, following them instantly. You do not wait for the sentence to finish. You try to mimic their speed, their emotion, their pauses, and their melody. Let's try a very short experiment with shadowing right now. I am going to say a sentence 3 times. The first time, just listen. The second and third times, I want you to try to say it with me, exactly as I am saying it. Do not worry if you miss a word. Just try to catch the rhythm. Here is the sentence. I really want to improve my English skills this year. Listen first. I really want to improve my English skills this year. Now, try to speak it with me. Ready? Go. I really want to improve my English skills this year. One more time, with feeling. Emphasize the word really. I really want to improve my English skills this year. Did you feel the difference? When you shadow, your mouth has to move faster than your brain. You don't have time to translate. You are training your muscles to produce the sounds naturally. This is how you break the plateau. You force your brain to process English at natural speed. I recommend you do this for just 5 minutes a day. Find a podcast or a YouTube video with a transcript. Listen and try to speak along with the host. It will feel chaotic at first. You will stumble. But that stumbling is the sound of you climbing the mountain again. Now, let us move to our final major story of the day. This story illustrates the difference between relying on tools and relying on yourself. It is the story of a woman named Sophia. Sophia was a young architect who loved to travel. She had studied English for many years and reached a solid B1 level. She could read travel guides and understand airport announcements. But Sophia had a secret crutch. A crutch is something you lean on when you cannot walk well. Her crutch was her smartphone. Sophia relied on her phone for everything. She used translation apps to read menus. She used map apps to find her way. She avoided asking people for help because she could just ask Google. Google didn't judge her accent. Google didn't speak too fast. Her phone was her ultimate comfort zone. It was a digital bubble that protected her from the real world. One autumn, Sophia traveled to New York City. It was her dream trip. She had a list of famous buildings she wanted to sketch. On her third day, she decided to visit a famous museum in a part of the city she didn't know well. She hopped on the subway, listening to music, looking at her phone. She got off at the station, opened her map app, and started walking. She was following the little blue dot on the screen. She wasn't looking at the street names. She wasn't looking at the people. She was just looking at the blue dot. Suddenly, her screen went black. Sophia pressed the power button. Nothing happened. She pressed it again. Panic cold as ice shot through her veins. Her battery was dead. She had forgotten to charge it the night before. She stood on a busy street corner in New York City with no phone, no map, and no idea where she was. For the first few minutes, Sophia just stood there, frozen. She felt completely helpless. She felt like a child who had lost her mother in a supermarket. She thought about finding a taxi, but she didn't know the address of her hotel. She only had it saved in her email. She was trapped. She looked around. The buildings were tall and imposing. People were rushing past her, walking fast, talking on their phones. She felt invisible. She took a deep breath and remembered a lesson from her English class. People are generally kind. She spotted a woman walking the small dog. The woman looked relaxed. Sophia decided to step out of her bubble. She walked up to the woman. "Excuse me," Sophia said. Her voice was trembling. "My phone is dead. I am lost. Can you help me find the Museum of Modern Art?" The woman stopped. She smiled. Oh, honey, you are far away. You are in the wrong neighborhood entirely. Sophia's heart sank. Oh, no. Don't worry, the woman said. It is not complicated. You need to walk 3 blocks that way, she pointed down the street, until you see a big post office. Then turn left. Walk until you see the park. There is a subway station there. Take the E train uptown. Sophia listened intensely. She didn't have a translator to check the words. She had to rely on her own ears. 3 blocks, post office, turn left, park, subway, E train. She repeated the keywords. Yes, that's it, the woman said. You will be fine. Thank you so much, Sophia said. Sophia started walking. She looked up. She looked at the street signs. She looked at the architecture. Because she didn't have her phone, she actually saw the city for the first time. She noticed the intricate carvings on the old buildings. She noticed the smell of roasted nuts from a street vendor. She noticed the sound of a saxophone playing in the distance. She found the post office. She turned left. But then she got confused. She didn't see a park. She saw a small square with a fountain. Was this the park? She wasn't sure. She felt the panic rising again. But this time, she knew what to do. She saw a police officer standing on the corner. "Excuse me, officer," she said, feeling much more confident this time. "Is the subway near here?" "Right over there, miss," he pointed, "just past the fountain." Sophia smiled. She found the station. She bought a ticket. She found the map on the wall and traced the line with her finger. She figured it out. When she finally arrived at the museum, she felt a sense of accomplishment that was much bigger than just seeing art. She had navigated one of the biggest cities in the world, using only her wits and her English. That evening, when she finally charged her phone at the hotel, she didn't turn it on immediately. She left it on the table. She went down to the hotel bar, ordered a drink, and started chatting with the bartender. She told him about her adventure. She realized that getting lost was the best thing that could have happened to her. It forced her to disconnect from the digital comfort zone and reconnect with her own abilities. The lesson from Sophia's story is this: technology is a wonderful tool, but do not let it become your master. Do not let it rob you of the experience of struggle. The struggle is where the learning happens. If you always use a translator, your brain never has to work hard to find the word. If the brain doesn't work hard, it doesn't remember. I want to share a quote with you from a famous writer named Neil Donald Walsh. He said, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone." Think about that. The life you want, the fluency you want, the opportunities you want, they are all waiting for you just one step past the line of fear. Let's practice a visualization technique to help you cross that line. I want you to imagine a door in front of you. It is a heavy wooden door. On the door, there is a sign that says English Fluency. You are standing on one side. On your side, it is safe, but it is a little bit dark and small. You have your hand on the doorknob. The knob is cold. You know that on the other side of the door, there is a bright light. There are people laughing and talking. There is opportunity. But you also know that to open the door, you have to push hard. You have to exert effort. In your mind, I want you to turn that knob. I want you to push the door open. Feel the weight of it. Now, step through. Imagine the light hitting your face. Imagine yourself speaking easily, laughing, understanding everything. Hold that image in your mind. This is your destination. Whenever you feel scared to speak, Remember this open door. We have met many friends today on this journey. I want us to take a moment to look back at them, like looking at a photo album of our time together. We met Arthur, the baker who was afraid of the city, but found his passion in pastry. He taught us that our routines can sometimes be cages, and that breaking the routine leads to discovery. We met Kenji, the software engineer who was terrified of speaking up in meetings. He taught us that the value of our ideas is more important than the perfection of our grammar. We met Amara, the lonely wife in London who learned that small talk is the bridge to connection. She taught us that a simple conversation about the weather can save us from isolation. We met Samuel, the grandfather who refused to let his age stop him from knowing his grandchildren. He taught us that love is the strongest motivation for learning. And finally, we met Sophia, who got lost in New York City and realized that she was stronger than her smartphone. She taught us to trust our own instincts. These are not just stories. They are mirrors. When you look at Arthur, do you see yourself holding back from a new opportunity? When you look at Kenji, do you see your own fear of judgment? These characters represent the different parts of our own minds. We all have an inner Arthur who wants to stay safe, but we also have an inner Sophie who wants to explore. The goal of learning English is to let the explorer win. Now, I promised you a concrete plan. Inspiration is wonderful, but action is better. We are going to translate all of this motivation into a specific 7-day comfort zone challenge. I want you to visualize your next week. We are going to turn your week into a game of courage. I will walk you through it day by day, and I want you to imagine yourself doing these tasks. Let's start with Monday. Monday is often a hard day, so we will start with a digital challenge that you can do from your sofa. On Monday, your task is to change the language settings on your phone to English. This sounds small, but it is powerful. Suddenly, your settings become settings, your calendar becomes calendar, and your notes become notes. Every time you look at your phone, which is probably 50 times a day, your brain has to switch to English mode. You will feel a little bit annoyed at first. You might struggle to find the alarm clock. That annoyance is good. That is your brain waking up. Keep it in English for the whole day. On Tuesday, we are going to practice the shadowing technique we discussed. Your task is to find a short video on YouTube, maybe one of my videos, or a TED Talk, or a scene from a movie. It should be no more than 2 minutes long. Your job is to listen to it and speak along with it for 10 minutes. Do not just watch it. Speak it. Mimic the speaker's voice. If they shout, you shout. If they whisper, you whisper. Be an actor. This will help your pronunciation muscles loosen up. You might feel silly talking to a screen, but remember, nobody is watching. On Wednesday, we are going to cure lurker syndrome. If you use social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or Facebook, you probably consume a lot of content in English, but you likely just scroll past or maybe click like. On Wednesday, your challenge is to write 3 comments in English. They do not have to be essays. They can be simple. I love this photo. Great explanation, thank you. I disagree with this point. By writing, you are stepping into the arena. You are leaving a digital footprint. You are saying, I am here, and I speak English. On Thursday, we are going to get vocal. This is the hardest challenge for many people. Your task is to record a voice note on your phone. I want you to talk for 1 minute about your favorite hobby. Tell your phone why you like cooking or why you like playing football. Do not write a script. Just talk. Then, here is the scary part. I want you to listen to it. Most people hate the sound of their own voice. It makes them cringe. But I want you to listen to it with kindness. Listen to where you paused. Listen to where you spoke clearly. Accept your voice. It is the only instrument you have, so you must learn to love it. On Friday, we are going to have some fun with music. Music is a fantastic way to bypass the logical brain and access the emotional brain. Your task on Friday is to find a song in English that you like. Find the lyrics online. Read them and try to understand the meaning. Then, play the song and sing along. Sing loudly. When you sing, you naturally connect words together. You practice rhythm and flow without thinking about grammar. If you are driving to work, sing in the car. If you are in the shower, sing in the shower. Let the melody carry you out of your comfort zone. On Saturday, we are going to play a mini version of Rejection Bingo. Your task is to ask a question in English. If you live in an English-speaking country, ask a shop assistant where an item is. If you do not live in an English-speaking country, you can still do this. You can use an AI like ChatGPT or a voice assistant like Siri or Google Assistant. Ask it, "What is the weather like in Tokyo today?" Or, "Tell me a joke." Speaking to a robot is a great low-risk way to practice. If the robot understands you, you win. If it says, "I didn't catch that, try again." Don't get frustrated. Treat it like a puzzle. Finally, we arrive at Sunday. Sunday is your rest day. It is important to return to your comfort zone to recharge. On Sunday, I want you to do something in English that is purely for pleasure. No studying, no challenges, just enjoyment. Watch a movie with subtitles in your own language if you want. Read a comic book. Play a video game. Remind yourself that English is not just a subject to be studied. It is a world to be enjoyed. Remind yourself that you are learning this language to access more fun, more culture, and more connection. I want to talk about the concept of celebration. We are often very hard on ourselves. When we make a mistake, we punish ourselves. We say, "I am so stupid." But when we do something good, we often ignore it. We think, "Oh, that was easy. It doesn't count." I want you to change this habit. You must reward your brain for being brave. When you finish your Monday challenge, smile and tell yourself, "Good job." When you post that comment on Wednesday, feel a sense of pride. This releases dopamine in your brain. Dopamine is a chemical that makes you feel good and encourages you to repeat the behavior. If you celebrate your small wins, your brain will want to learn more. It will start to crave the challenge because it expects the reward. Think about the version of yourself you want to be in 5 years. Imagine that person. They are traveling effortlessly. They are laughing at jokes in movies without reading subtitles. They are helping a tourist on the street. They are reading books in their original language. That version of you is waiting. But that version of you cannot exist if you do not take action today. You are building that person right now, with every minute you listen and every word you speak. I also want to remind you that it is never too late. Remember Samuel. He was 70 years old. Maybe you are 30, or 50, or 80. The brain is neuroplastic. This means it can change and grow at any age. It is like plastic. It can be molded. Every time you challenge yourself, you are physically changing the structure of your brain. You are building new highways for information. Do not let age be an excuse. Do not let time be an excuse. You have time. You have 20 minutes a day. That is enough. So, here is my final call to action for you. I need you to make a commitment. I need you to take the first step of the 7-day challenge right now. I want you to go to the comments section below this video. I want you to write one sentence. Write, "I accept the challenge." That is it. Just 4 words. I accept the challenge. By writing this, you are making a public promise. You are joining a community of other brave learners who are also stepping out of their comfort zones. Scroll down, read the other comments, and maybe reply to one of them. Say, "Good luck," or "We can do this." Be the supportive friend that you wish you had. If you have found value in this long session, if these stories have touched your heart or opened your mind, please consider subscribing to English in Fluency. By subscribing, you are telling me that you want more content like this. You are telling me that you are serious about your growth. And turn on the notification bell so that when I post the next challenge, you are the first to know. I am Alex, and it has been my absolute honor to be your guide today. I believe in you. I know it is scary. I know it is hard. But I also know that you are capable of doing hard things. You have listened to me for over an hour. That proves you have the strength. Now, take that strength and go out into the world. Open the door. Cross the line. Speak the words. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning. And until next time, keep challenging yourself. Keep growing. And remember, your English grows when you are brave. Goodbye for now, and good luck with your challenge.